You're looking for something that actually works day to day, not just a glossy brochure full of numbers. You want a cold water plunge that fits into your routine, stays reliable after a few weeks, and feels worth the cash you're about to spend. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started researching cold therapy tubs, the biggest thing that kept me up at night was the fear of ending up with a massive inflatable that leaks, a chiller that rattles like a fridge, or a system that needs a dedicated electrician to run. Most people I talked to had tried a cheap inflatable pool, filled it with ice, and gave up after the first week because it was a nightmare to set up and the water warmed up in an hour. The market is full of just add water promises, but the reality is you need something that actually stays cold, is easy to move, and doesn't require you to become a DIY electrician. Cold therapy is a niche that's grown fast. Athletes use it for recovery, biohackers swear by it for mood, and even casual fitness fans dip in after a hot yoga class. The common complaints across the board are long cooling times, noisy compressors, and tubs that are either too flimsy or permanently anchored. Anything that can address those pain points while staying portable is immediately attractive. That's where the Revive Cold Plunge Tub and Chiller combo tries to carve its niche. At first glance, the biggest selling point is the no tools, no wiring claim. The tub itself inflates from a compact bag, and the chiller plugs straight into a standard 120-volt outlet. Weighing just 25 pounds, the whole unit can be moved from a garage to a backyard without a crew. For someone who lives in a rental or wants to store the system in a closet when it's not in use, that portability is a genuine advantage. Setting it up is basically a two-step process. You unroll the tub, attach the quick connect hose to the chiller, plug it in, and fill the tub with water. The hose snaps into place with a click, and the manufacturer says you don't need any wrenches or sealants. In my trial, the biggest hiccup was making sure the water line sat level so the chiller didn't pull air bubbles, but that's a one-time adjustment. Within 10 minutes the system was ready to start cooling, and the whole thing felt more like assembling a large air mattress than installing a piece of gym equipment. Now, cooling performance is where the rubber meets the road. The built-in 0.8 HP chiller promises ultra-fast, quiet cooling, and in practice it drops the water from room temperature to about 55 F in roughly 3040 minutes, depending on ambient heat. That's fast enough for most users who want a quick dip after a workout, but it's not instant. You'll need to plan a short warm-up before you jump in. Noise-wise, the compressor runs at a level you'd compare to a quiet dishwasher. It's audible if you sit right next to the unit, but it never rises to a level that would disturb a conversation or a TV in the same room. Capacity is another practical consideration. The tub holds up to 98 gallons, which translates to roughly a 5-foot by 6-foot footprint when fully inflated. That's enough space for a single adult to stretch out comfortably, but it also means you need a decent amount of floor space or a flat surface like a garage floor or patio. The tub's walls are reinforced, so you won't get a wobble when you move around, but it does mean you can't just tuck it into a tight corner. If you have a small balcony or a cramped bathroom, the dimensions become a real limitation. Who should consider buying this combo? If you're an athlete who wants a recovery tool that can be packed up after a season, a biohacker who likes to experiment with temperature contrast, or a family that wants a weekend-ready wellness station, the Revive system checks a lot of boxes. The portability means you can store it away during winter or move it to a friend's house for a joint training session. The fact that it plugs into a regular outlet makes it suitable for renters who can't run a dedicated line. On the flip side, if you're looking for a permanent, built-in plunge that will sit in your backyard for years without ever being moved, you might be better off with a more heavy-duty, in-ground model. The 25-pound weight, while light for portability, also signals that the frame isn't engineered for permanent outdoor exposure. You'll want a cover or a shelter to protect it from UV and rain. Budget-conscious shoppers should also note that the unit's price reflects the convenience of the combo. You're essentially paying for the chiller and the tub in one package. If you already have a suitable tub, a standalone chiller could be cheaper, albeit with more installation work. There are a couple of hidden trade-offs that only become clear after a few weeks of use. First, water maintenance. The tub doesn't have an automatic filtration system, so you'll need to